Just having a lunchtime smoke in the garden shed on kind of a rainy day. Smoking a vintage custom built. This is a Tracy Mincer era 38 to 45. Might be into 52, I don't know. Custom dash built with a script. So it's an old one. You know, you can tell where it was a small block of wood and they just kind of made the most of it. Gotta love that wide saddle bit though. I mean, the bit is as wide as the shank, you know. It's pretty amazing. Almost wider. Just gives you a great bite. I just like that. And a really stable grip so it's not slipping around. So this is my first smoke in about 3 weeks. And I have to admit, I do that occasionally just to verify that I don't feel addicted. Because if I was, I would quit right now. And that would impact the hobby aspect of all this pipe smoking stuff, you know. So, happily, I don't feel addicted. But I did have a reason to not smoke, and that was I was healing up. I did get a little heart ablation, and then that's where I have had, hopefully, maybe they cured it, something called supraventricular tachycardia, SVT. So it's just occasionally my heart, there's like a secondary sinus node, and the sinus nodes are what kind of make your heart beat. And it would just kick in sometimes, and I'd be beating 160. Like, I wasn't even stressed out, usually, you know? I mean, it was just like, oh, whoa, that feels weird. So, of course, there's a pill for that. Probably more than one. But I was on one. And it didn't have a lot of side effects, but I really hardly take vitamins, you know? So, I hate taking pills for stuff. And, so I got a new cardiologist because the old one was just kind of popping me pills and wasn't really too interested in diagnosing the cause and then figuring out what the actual reason for the tachycardia was. So I got a new cardiologist. You got to do that. Nobody's going to help you do that. So you just have to step up and say, this isn't working. I need somebody else. So I got this younger guy in his 40s, came recommended, same group of cardiologists, the Catholics, don't you know. So our first meeting, we shook hands, sat down, he was looking at the computer screen at my file, and I said, do you find those strips of EKG readout that I went down to the firehouse and we collected those when I was having a tachycardia event. And so we found those. Actually, they'd scanned them in. He said, oh yeah, that's clearly SVT. Here are our options. You know, he's a no BS kind of guy. Yes. And so I said, I'm in. Let's fix this if we can. So we did that on the last day of December. Went in early. It was a 2.5-hour procedure where they stick catheters into the veins, arteries, major arteries, I don't know, in your groin, 3 of them up your groin, arteries, so you get manscaped. That's kind of the worst part of it, in a way. And then one, can't even see the scar, you know, it's great, down through here. And they all do it arthroscopically that way, and they electronically cauterize the offending sinus node. They bring on some arrhythmia. I was awake through the whole thing. So I normally like to have the minimum amount of sedation and then I'll ask for more if I need it, like with dental procedures, and this was a case in point. You know, they said, well, you know, we could knock you out, and I said, no, I want to get up and leave once we're done here, you know. So anyway, it went very well. The nurses were just awesome, just the nicest people. Seemed very competent. My friend who took me down there as my driver was just, she's a retired nurse, and wow, she took such good care of me. Yeah, that's where you just got to have good friends, you know. Wow, and she is. So I so appreciate that. May I be such a good friend to her and others when needed, you know. I mean, you got to pay it back, and it feels good to do that. So anyway, went in about 5:30 in the morning, was out by 1 p.m., and it was kind of light duty for the first week. No smoking. Get it all healed up. So, yeah, I'm healing like a champ, so yay. And I haven't had any tachycardia. I had my week after visit the other day, and we're good, seemingly. So time will tell, but that kind of slowed me down a little bit, you know. So, in anticipation of that, and then stuff happening over the holidays here, you know, people in the hospital. So, what that does do, though, it's very interesting, is it kind of makes you ponder your mortality, which is good to do occasionally. I think everybody would benefit from that. Instead of just being in denial, or considering yourself invulnerable, or having a mythology that allows you to not think about it, you know. Whatever your reason is, we just don't really ponder our mortality often, unless we have to. Unless somebody very close to us passes away or comes close to that, or something happens to ourselves, you know. So I mean, it was always potentially a possibility that, you know, something could go wrong, even though that surgery is procedure, let's call it a procedure, is known to be highly successful and not many errors with it. So, yay. But anyway, it does make you ponder that. And, you know, we should all have our affairs always in order, a little handwritten sheet telling what we'd really like to do, you know, in the event of our sudden demise. And then having our important papers, you know, even bank account stuff and all that, just kind of in a place, or given to your executor. I've got a friend who has done that, and wow, that's really organized. And all that kind of makes you consider your mortality too. But so it's been a pondering sort of holiday. We're all back to work and all back to routine, but yeah, it still kind of hangs with you a little bit. So it's good. It's good to do that. Yeah. So. And you know, they always ask, "Oh, and do you smoke?" And I say, "Well, yes, but I am a hobbyist pipe smoker." And they look at me like, "Yeah, right." I say, "No, really." You know, I don't smoke that much. I smoke as a hobby, not as an addiction, and I'm going to keep doing it. So get off my back. You know, so. So what am I smoking? I'm smoking some of that Regal's Balkan Sobrani match from Byron in Orange County. This is from the early 80s from the Regal's smoke shop in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And Byron, I am still just enjoying that. You know, after 2+ weeks, I was thinking, gosh, what do I want to smoke? You know, and what pipe do I want to smoke? You know, it's that kind of enjoyment I get out of picking a pipe and a tobacco for that moment. It's like, I'm not sure. Let's see. And so I went to the Regals, and good choice because it's really smooth. Not at all bitey. Yeah. Mellow, mellow, mellow. So it's perfect little tobacco for this. So. Yeah, quite enjoyable. A great little hobby we have here. So, I'm not giving it up. Heck no. Just finishing up the last of this Regal's Balkan Sobrani match in this old custom built, which doesn't quite fall under my hat brim, so it gets a little more moist. On my way to work here. I have this great trail to work. It takes 10 minutes and gives me a little exercise. And on rainy days like this in the Pacific Northwest, which are quite common, perhaps it's because on these cool days the evergreens are sort of at their maximal photosynthetic transformation of carbon dioxide into oxygen. And well, it just feels like, you know, the air is just washed and delightful. Of course, all the deciduous trees have dropped their leaves and are not doing anything to help that effort. But on those really hot summer days, the evergreens just slow way down in their photosynthesis. So they're at their peak, at their prime in this kind of weather, even colder, actually. So, but if you're just for it, it's just water, right?